Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Narcissist, trauma bonding, every day you hear people throwing around these psychological terms, but what are these labels doing to our ability to relate to others? We'll find out now as we talk with the author of Grow Up, A Man's Guide to Emotional Maturity, Owen Marcus. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Hannah. It's an honor to be here.
So I think a lot of us are familiar with this therapy speak that we're hearing more and more often now. Why is this vocabulary becoming so popular?
Well, I think part of it is because it's an easy way we think to connect, but really what it does is it has us disconnect. And we do that because, we're easily able to put a label on someone, so that makes us feel safer because we think we understand them, but really we're not understanding or connecting them.
Are people looking for comfort sometimes to put a name on something like, well, this person acts that way because X, Y, Z, so I've diagnosed it and I can move on with my life now?
Yeah. So now that I can understand them, we look at a few of their behaviors, we hear about them maybe before we even meet them, and we come up with this diagnosis, so we feel safer, so we know what box to put them into, rather than risk any vulnerability and connect with them or try to understand really who they are.
So then on the flip side of that, can that make people fearful of being vulnerable and opening up because they don't want to get labeled?
It certainly does. And to the extreme that, we start to feel like, if we misstep and become labeled, we become canceled and we're written off. And what happens is, we all make mistakes. I certainly make a lot of my own mistakes. And what happens when we make these mistakes and we're labeled, it's like we don't feel like we can get ourselves back into a state of connection or normality.
Yeah, how do you kind of refocus and maybe step away from so much psychoanalyzing and come back to just human to human, peer-to-peer connection?
What I've found, myself and the people that we work with, is that when we can connect to our own experience, and for a lot of us, particularly for us men, when we can connect to our own somatic or physical or really physiological experience, like feeling what our bodies are doing in the moment, innately we're telling ourselves we're safe, because when we don't feel safe, we're focused externally on the threat out there. But when we feel our bodies, we start to downregulate or relax. As we relax, we give off nonverbal cues to other people that we're safe, and they start to relax, and we start to foster connection rather than disconnection.
Interesting. So what about kids and teens inheriting this language, all this therapy speak that they probably encounter quite a bit? Are there certain implications for their development with that?
I think that the biggest implication is, kids are very sensitive and aware, and they want to be accepted. They want to be part of their social group. So they're going to work really hard to do things right. And if one of the things they're concerned about is being mislabeled or just labeled, they're going to work around the labeling or not to be labeled, rather than developing their skills of communication. And with everything being so digital these days, they're already at a disadvantage.
What's one step you would recommend for somebody who's going, okay, I want to be vulnerable, I want to open up, I want to foster more healthy communication? What's a great place to start?
Really with themselves. We can be more aware of our own experience, it just sets us up to be more open and vulnerable, curious about someone else's experience. Plus, again, we come across much safer because it's very hard for someone to open up to us when we don't feel safe. And, if we're thinking about how to label the person, probably subtly they're picking that up.
Sure. Well, and I think a lot of times all these conversations come back to empathy, right? You've got to kind of reach out and maybe understand someone a little bit better so that you can deepen that connection somehow.
Empathy and compassion, yeah, and that often that compassion starts with ourselves, and we're again quick to label ourselves when we screw up. So having that compassion for ourselves sets us up to, have it for other people, not to be so concerned with perfectionism.
Yeah, true. You got to start inward with that stuff and give yourself a little bit of grace to get things going. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Owen's book again is Grow Up, and we'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.